Ever wonder what happens when you hear both sides of a cheating story? I got to experience that firsthand, and the truth was far different from what I thought. Here's my take on Scott and Jody's breakup and how their stories didn't match up. I got both sides of a cheating story. At my first job out of college, I became quick friends with another guy, Scott, 3 years older than me. We would pal around hitting the bars and such in town. As we opened up more to each other, he told me about how his last girlfriend, Jody, cheated on him. He shared after she broke up with him, he was heartbroken, couldn't eat or sleep, felt that constant anxiety about it. I had had a similar experience with my first girlfriend when she broke it off with me. Jody worked at the same place as us, but in a different building. She was the daughter of a prominent figure in town, and her family really liked Scott. They dated for a little over a year, and he thought she was the one until a week before Christmas, when she abruptly and without warning broke up with him. It took Scott a long time to get over her, and that was compounded by the fact it came out she was pregnant that following spring. When the child was born, Scott figured out that she had to have gotten pregnant about 4 weeks at most after the breakup. She quickly married the guy, and they are actually still together today with a second child. Years started ticking, and over that span I met my wife, got engaged, married, and she took a job for a year, then switched to where I worked. My wife, Emma, works with Jody directly, and they become quick friends. Scott and I started hanging out less and less as I got more involved with Emma and started spending more weekends with her. We were LDR for about 18 months. Emma isn't shy and asked about Jody's relationship with Scott. Jody stated that, while initially the relationship was good, as time passed, Scott had more and more red flags. First, he was really immature for 25 years old. He seemed to want to still live a college life. He liked to go out drinking a lot, but always had too much and would fall asleep at inconvenient times. He didn't really have any plans for the future, and he had a lot of deep, bigoted opinions. He also didn't put a lot of effort into the relationship, like dates, communication, etc. She was pretty much over it months before finally ending it. She would bring up concerns, and he would always play victim, guilt-trip her, all while her family thought he was just great and would kind of dismiss her concerns if she talked to them about Scott. Jody said her family didn't hide the fact that they were upset she broke up with him. Finally, she had enough, knew she just had to end it, take her things, and go. She needed to be quick and stern and not show emotion, or she would just get guilted into staying. And that's what she did in December. Not wanting to just sit around, wallowing, she took a friend up on an invite to a New Year's Eve party where she met a guy, Carter. They exchanged info that night and had their first official date that week. When Jody started puberty in middle school, she had horrible menstrual symptoms and had been taken to see a specialist. They managed to get her symptoms under control, but through the tests discovered she did have a reproductive issue. I don't remember what, but she did tell Emma. The doctors told her and her parents then that it would be extremely unlikely that she would ever conceive naturally. Jody, always thinking she was sterile, admitted to Emma she wasn't the best at using protection and never had been on birth control. Her and Carter's relationship turned sexual almost immediately, and because of Jody's belief they didn't use any form of contraception, she got pregnant against the odds. They took that whirlwind situation and got married right away as well. 3 years later, they tried and had a second child without much effort, making her question if she really had these complications at all, and thankful that she hadn't accidentally gotten pregnant in HS or college. Up to the point he moved away, Scott avoided Jody like she was the plague. He always believed she had been cheating, and that's why she broke up with him. He never once talked about their relationship as having any issues or problems. I had to admit, I did agree with Jody's assessment of immaturity. Over our time, as friends, I saw that Scott really didn't seem to ever want to grow up. Even with his wife, after a couple of years of dating, his first grand gesture was to buy her a promise ring like they were HS sophomores. And he was in his 30s by this point. We're all in our 40s now. Scott moved back to his hometown and finally married his now wife. They have 3 kids. A few years later, Emma and I moved on. Jody and her husband still live in the same place. Always think of this story when I hang out in the relationship threads on Reddit because you only ever get one side of a story. I wonder how many are as vastly different as this one once you get the other side. Have you ever heard both sides of a story and realized how different things were? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories on relationships and personal growth.